colony space. Maintain course and prepare to be scanned. And
You might want this.
Captain Ellis, greetings.
I was just thinking that this is about what Irvin saw all those years ago when he arrived. He probably stood here thinking that he was going to make things better. He had a good heart. We need to reopen the case. See if there's anything that was overlooked the first time. We've done some legwork remotely, but we need to do some good old-fashioned investigating now. Hopefully it will be enough to clear Irvin's name. Oh, you remind me of him sometimes, wanting to make things right. And when you said it out loud, you know, I actually believe we can do it. I just hope our lawyer is as confident. Ellie Yankton. She worked on Irvin's previous case. Ellie is one of the few lawyers on this planet who's willing to take on the mining corporations in court. I sent that to our lawyer already. I asked her to confidentially review what we found. Yes, but listen. Nobody will stand up against the mining corporations around here. They're scared. She didn't want to lose the case, but she didn't have a lot to go on. Thanks to us, now she does. Right. She said she would meet us at our office when we arrive. Hopefully she can tell us what we need to do in order to clear Irvin's name. Let's stick together, though. Gagarin isn't a huge town, but it's not the kind of town that I want to get lost in.
Welcome to Gagarin. Your
Light construction is a dead industry, Chief Pretorius. Those jobs aren't coming back. But Reliant Medical, Archmite, and Satori Mills are dedicated to Gagarin. We were just hoping Gagarin could show the same dedication in return.
I'm not closing off the city every time you want to run a tour group through here.
Our investor visits are the key to making Gagarin a place that works again. A place where people want to live again.
People are living here just fine. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have security work to get back to.
You're not on my calendar. Is this Archmite? Yes? Archmite? We're the galaxy's premier heavy equipment firm. Diggers, construction robotics, that sort of thing. And we're on Gagarin to take advantage of an opportunity. The city's old mech factories have been sitting dormant for years now. But they're open again thanks to us. We've automated the old assembly lines and brought plenty of money to the city in the process. It's a win-win for all involved. Oh, Chief Pretorius? She thinks Gagarin is just peachy being poor and run down. Has no vision. But Archmite does. Thanks to our investment, the largest formerly shuttered mech plant in the city has been refurbished and is churning out some of the finest heavy equipment in the settled systems. And we're sharing that vision of a revived Gagarin with others. We've been bringing in investors, showing them all the potential of this place. We were only asking the chief to make sure the areas we'd planned to visit didn't have any malcontents running around. Unfortunately, some of the locals don't appreciate all we've done for the city. We expect they will. After all, what truer sign of respect is there than a high-paying salary? What gave it away? I was born in New Atlantis, but the business environment is so stuffy there. Centuries-old firms set in their ways. Gagarin is gritty, exciting, an opportunity for growth. And isn't that what business and life are all about? Next time, let's schedule something, okay?
Tell me you're here to just report a good old-fashioned crime? If I have to deal with one more corporate exec begging for special treatment, I'll eat my badge. Oh, you haven't heard? Gagarin's going to be the next New Atlantis, or so we've all been told. Centauri Mills, Arkmite, Reliant Medical, they all bought up and renovated derelict buildings here in the city in the past couple years. We needed the jobs, to be sure. Gagarin got hit hard after the mech plants were all shuttered when the colony war ended. But I'm not sure I've ever met a more entitled group than these executives. Treat the city like an amusement park, and all of us as the amusements. It's kept me and my people plenty busy, just not with actual policing. But, I'm sorry. Did you actually need to report something? Guess I'm off the hook then. But look, I'm Security Chief Pretorius. If you do have anything to report, you can speak to me or one of my officers. We're always around. Gagarin's not really that sort of burg. Most of the restaurants went belly up when the mech trade shut down. Only one left is Lizzie's, on the other side of town, though it does have a nice view of the square. There's also a little social club the local executive set up across from Lizzie's, but it's still pretty light on amenities. Now, if you're just looking to resupply, then you'll want Clint's. Another case of last business standing, but he's got a good selection. And for medical supplies, you'll want Dr. Keala. You can find both of them on the main concourse. Beyond that, we're just corporate offices and private homes. Well, I came here right after training, which was 10 years ago now. Gagarin was a lot rougher then. People were still reeling from all the plants getting shut down after the war. So there was a lot of petty theft, break-ins. I was responsible for putting together a pretty busy community outreach program. Worked out well enough that they eventually made me chief. We've had our issues. Some folks aren't thrilled about the corporations moving in, but the majority don't act on it. Those that do largely keep it civil. Protest, throw some paint, occasional crate wanders off. But we've managed to avoid any open conflict so far. It's really not a bad assignment. Be safe.
Have a nice day. If my services are in our salutations, please ask the supervisor if you need something.
You're not the usual courier. Please tell me you're his replacement, and that you're just here to pay me a long overdue visit on his behalf. What am I talking about? I'm talking about someone, anyone, handing over my exceedingly late delivery. Now, are you my courier's replacement or not? You're not the courier. Our delivery service doesn't run late like this. Something must have happened. Look, I'm expecting a very important package. Very important. What would you say to tracking it down for me? Quickly. I pay, and I pay well. Good. Let's get you on your way then. Akachi Rosenblum, United Transport, Gagarin branch. Now, please. Akachi, it's Helena, over at Reliant Medical. Your courier never showed. I need his stops for the day. This is my I don't care voice, Akachi. Oh. And what's your firm's policy on losing our branch as a client? I thought so. Send it to my personal slate. Thank you, Akachi. Here. All the places our courier might have gotten waylaid. She mentioned a panel or something that you can plug his ID number into at each delivery point. They should tell you if he's been there recently. The ID's 8148. When you do finally track him down, you can tell him you'll be completing delivery. Now go get me my package. Please.
I know a guy who just got a job at the Centauri Mills plant.
Welcome to Clint's. Whatever you need, I'm sure I've got it lying around somewhere. Except mech parts. Don't trade those anymore, so don't waste your time asking.
All right.
Well, for one, it's illegal in UC space. Making mech platforms used to be Gagarin's bread and butter. So, since they were banned in the armistice, I get 1 to 2 folks a month asking what kind of relics I might have lying around. But I'm not about to risk a contraband fine at my age, so that's why I just lay it out up front. If you need anything, just follow the sound of falling inventory. You'll find me eventually. Gagarin. It was a military town until the end of the Colony War. Mechs were our specialty. Everyone always blabbers about Mars making the highest performance machines. But if you needed a system that wouldn't let you down in a pinch, you piloted a Gagarin. But that all dried up when the mechs were banned with the armistice. Now, we've got these new firms coming in. Arkmite, Centauri Mills. Claim they're here to revitalize the city. Which is funny, since their employees refuse to step foot in most of it. Plenty more competition for stores like mine, that's for sure. UC had a lot more money to throw around in those days. During the war, I couldn't keep the shelves stocked. At first, because of all the demand. But later, because the Freestar Collective flotillas were so damn good at picking off UC merchant craft. But the biggest difference now? The quiet. Not just because most of the forges and mines shut down. It was the testing. Firms used to drive their prototype mechs out into the canyons, way beyond the city. But you could still hear the guns all the way from here. It was like, shoo, thunder. So when the thunder stopped, well, so did Gagarin in a way. Good way to think about it. Hopefully I'll be around long enough to see the end result. Come back soon, eh?
Someone painted some choice words on the front of the Arclight factory the other day.
Gagarin was a one-industry city for a long time. Now, we got a little bit of everything.
Sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but I've got a lot of shipments to process still, so let's cut to the chase. Are you here to claim a shipment in storage, or do you have some other shipping concern? Did one of my robots wander off again? Or was it something else entirely? You'd be surprised. Gagarin's had a bit of a resurgence lately as an industrial hub. It seems like every week we're storing and shipping more and more cargo. That reminds me, if this keeps up, we're going to need more robots. Well, it's owned by Unified Transport. We employ a mostly robotic staff. Fewer mistakes that way. We do short-term storage, long-term. I guess that's pretty much it. It's a warehouse. We do shipping. Enough said. What do you expect? Robots never get tired. They don't need brakes. They can carry heavy loads. They're faster and more efficient in every way for this kind of work. And if I'm being honest, I prefer their company. When you've spent most of your life in space away from people, you learn to trust technology more than humanity. Auf Wiedersehen.
You have my credits?
Look, I know I said it.
You been to Clint's recently? You get crushed under all that crap?
That's Anita, up at the Vanguard office. She's pretty good. While I was on shift, too.
I'm bored to death. Sorry. All this waiting is putting... Yeah, this is all yours.
Yeah, whiskey. Make it a double.
End of the colony war hit Gagarin hard.
Well, let's see if we can't smooth out the wrinkles. Looking for a drink? Don't serve anything fancy, so if you're about to ask for wine spritzer or whatever, you can hop right back on your ship to New Atlantis. Not as a rule, no. Just the ones that come to Gagarin and want to change it. And those folks usually ask for disgusting, overly complicated drinks. You one of them? Feel free to see yourself out, Spritz.
I don't miss all the extra heat from this,
Look
right?
what the Dust Devil dragged in. Bunch of corporate marionettes moving in, setting up shop. They think we're just a bunch of cheap factories and dumb labor that'll leap at whatever scraps they toss us. But Gagarins are tough by default. We've got exactly zero need of corporate condescension. Sure do. I came into some money right around the time the war ended. Places were selling for nothing. Every person with credits was flying to New Atlantis. I got this place for a wink and a nod. Have been slinging drinks the way I like 'em ever since. Lucky you. I've got a little project I could use some help with. You've seen all the neckties and power suits wandering around town? Feels like they're everywhere. And while I like a bunch of stuck-up new Atlantean MBAs defiling my city as much as I enjoy unmedicated dental surgery, they've got the credits. So sooner or later, I'm going to need to start serving them, or someone else will. There's this ship whose crew had to ditch mid-flight. I presume it's some kind of luxury liner because it's supposedly got an impressive collection of booze on it. I want you to go to the ship, find the best stuff on board, and bring it to me. Anything else on the ship is yours to keep. Plus, I'll throw in some credits for your trouble. My rumor was light on details. Got to be some kind of lesser luxury craft, a pleasure yacht or the like. Not going to find the sort of beverages I'm after on anything else. My contact's reliable. More than that, not your job to know. Exactly what I was hoping to hear. You'll find the ship doing laps around Grissom. And be careful. I'm not paying for broken bottles, okay?
A hazmat squad came through here the other day. Said they're cleaning out any heat leeches. Public safety concern. I think I missed something.
Why is no one talking about bringing back mechs? The city was fine before Freestar banned them.
If there's harder work than Mandela Foundry and mines and...
You ever read about the early history of spaceflight? So political. So familiar sometimes.
Didn't even have time to get my lunch. Security is usually good about keeping out strays.
Well, well, well. Barrett, you're actually here. Astounding.
Ellie! Ellie, come on. I promised we'd stop by, didn't I?
People make promises all the time, Barrett. And most folks try to avoid Gagarin, not visit it. Anyway, I'm glad you made it out here. We have work to do, don't we? It's not a resort. It's a working town run by mining corporations. You don't come here unless you need to, and you don't stay unless you have to.
Or unless you're a bright-eyed, optimistic lawyer who genuinely wants to make things better for others. Right, Ellie?
You're kind, Barrett. Yes, I suppose there's that type of person as well. Yes. It was my first case as a bright-eyed, optimistic lawyer.
Well, starting your career with a defeat is rough, Ellie.
It was. But in a way, it made me more determined. Not exactly, but similar cases. A corporation commits a crime and needs a scapegoat, so they select someone powerless to target.
The quintessential Gagarin tale.
Indeed. Down to business. Perfect. What do you already know?
So we already know that Irvin worked for Hephaestus Mining Company years ago, and they blamed him for catastrophic economic and ecological issues here on Gagarin.
Yes. He lost his case because he didn't defend himself, and we had almost no evidence without him.
I recall receiving a message asking him to appear in court a day after his funeral.
An unfortunate reality of interplanetary legal communiques, I'm afraid.
He was publicly blamed for the economic woes, and his accounts were seized in compensation.
His account on Gagarin specifically. It was just the amount he was paid years ago for the job.
Right. They would have taken his assets and other settlements, but by law, his death prevented it. Well, we can bring the case to a judge here if we have new evidence or a witness.
What about the evidence we found so far?
Yes, well, about that. It's just not enough. Not on its own, no. It's circumstantial. Helpful to support our claim, but not enough. Best case scenario, we clear his name and his assets are returned, plus additional compensation. In order for me to go before a judge, I'd like to have some solid evidence pertaining to motive. The courts won't entertain a challenge to its ruling unless we're sure that something major was missed in the original trial.
What was the motive from the original trial?
We had no solid motive after our witness withdrew his testimony. Yeah, we need something major. Documentation, recordings, a witness, something.
It's been so long. How could we find anything like that?
I've thought about this a lot since the original case. The mine that Irvin worked at was shuttered in 2309. They probably still have documents relating to whatever happened there with him.
Not really. All I know is that it's a Hephaestus mine from 20 years ago, somewhere on Gagarin.
I don't have a couple decades to wait for you to search them all, so we'll need to narrow it down. Not necessarily. To Hephaestus, it might be cheaper to run away and let the dust bury it all. That's where you come in. I don't know which mine he worked at when the incident took place. In theory, you could find that information on a Foundry terminal, if you can access it. You'll need a passcode. That's the hard part. Besides the Foundry records, there also might be something in Irvin's apartment. If he knew he was being framed, he might have held on to some documents there.
Dear Diary, today we created an ecological disaster and then blamed it on an off-worlder. Love Hephaestus.
Funny. But you'd be surprised how often people write down things that get them into serious trouble.
Oh, do tell.
For comparison, I just finished a case against another company that was charged with illegally dumping waste near the town's water supply. Their permits specified a site that would have cost twice as much fuel, so they sent a memo to the driver to dump it at the first available location just outside of town.
They actually wrote that down. Classic. Even the confidential records and salvageable equipment? Seems wasteful.
It was probably cheaper than transporting older machines around the planet.
Makes sense. Not many people wander around outside of the city looking for abandoned mines.
Why lock your door when you're the only person on the planet, right? Anyway, try to log into the Foundry system or convince someone to find Irvin's mine for you.
Sounds like an awkward conversation. Fortunately, the captain is rather good at those.
Hopefully, that's enough to work with for now. If you'll excuse me, I have to get some court documents ready for this case.
The Foundry district isn't too far from here.
I hate it when the walkways creep.
Here, use this key. Find anything helpful to the case, Captain? Now I get why he wanted me to look after his plants. No windows. Wait a second. What about this safe? I bet it's locked by a terminal. Well, I'll be... If you ever doubted Irvin's genius, look at all this. Still chugging along 20 years later. Hold on. Is that what I think it is? Aha! Will you look at that? If we go to town hall, I bet we can get a copy of that hunting license. I have something for you. Take this. Enjoy. Of course, I was walking by it and I thought, hey, what the heck? Why not? Anyway, I figured you. You're quite welcome. If I see anything on our next expedition to a...
Officer, what's the punishment for truancy?
Truancy. For kids? Send them back to school.
Well, there are children loitering outside my apartment at all hours of the day and night. I want them dealt with.
You want children?
You one of those corporate drones?
You want to know what I think about all these new businesses buying them? Well, this town
Hopefully that public access computer is still working. So...
Are you selling something or what? Friend, I don't get paid to chit-chat about work. That information is confidential.
Back on your apartment? I did. Bank says it's worth double what it was when I moved in.
I can see that.
Buy it? Only if I take up a life of piracy.
I think we can work something out. So listen, you can use my employee passcode to access that foundry terminal over there. I'll just say I lost it somewhere.
Impressive.
Next time I'm going to take a nap on top of a building, nobody ever looks up there.
Coordinates look valid to me. Imagine Irvin thinking the same thing all those years ago. Just a job, right? Well, at least we know where to keep looking, right? Essentially any documentation that screams, Irvin isn't guilty, we made it up. This is what we do. We're explorers, adventurers. But yeah, other than that, it's my fight. I don't want to get anyone else involved. I guess we'll see what state the mine is in. It's possible they collapsed it before they left. We just won't know until we get there. If that's the case, we'll just have to figure something out.
I knew I shouldn't have locked eyes with you.
You're back.
We got it from town hall and everything. It's the real deal.
I see. This sort of thing works well for the narrative of our case, but we will need more evidence to bring it to a judge.
We're on it, Ellie. Don't.
Well, I like the sound of that. Okay, now that is a solid lead. Well, don't let me stop you while you're on a roll, detectives. We can talk.
Captain Ellis, hello. I am satisfied to see that you survived your Rosa If you have any comments about this facility,
I'm sorry,
please
but if
leave
this isn't
feedback
directly
in the
related,
main office.
Gagarin is a city on the rise. Chief Arkmite and Satari Mills are just learning what Reliant's known for years. Gagarin is the place to do business. What's that like? Challenging. I work for Helena Strickland, one of the most driven executives in the industry. I tied him really, though she seems to forget it. Reliant's always here when you need us.
Careful. This place was shuttered. Well, they don't need it now. This looks promising. This looks like administration. Company records? Bingo! All right. Now let's go find Irvin and Helgi's lab stations.
What we need. Yeah. More meat. Exactly.
was the destruction of the bacterial colonies, not the apex predators. So, they ruined the ecosystem here, and it had nothing to do with Irvin. This is it. This is what Ellie needs to see. Lights are on down here at least. Muscle time! Time to break a sweat for a change. I wonder if those things moved in after her face just left. These things changed it. Seems like Helgi tried to do the right thing here. I'm sure Ellie would want to see this. He's citing numerous ethics violations dating back before.
All these fancy new businesses.
Ellie! Hello?
Welcome back, detectives.
Ellie, I sent you all the data from the mine already.
Welcome back, you two. How was the trip to the mine?
You're gonna love this, Ellie.
Okay, someone better tell me. Come on.
We found the coordinates to Irvin's old work site and went there. Huge battle. Fire, explosions. Pew, 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 pew.
Barrett, please.
You should have seen the plants in there, too. Weird stuff. Anyway, you read over the documents we found there, right? What do you think?
What you both found in that mine is remarkable. These documents show that the chemicals released by the mining process contaminated the ecology even before Irvin was tasked with removing the predators. And they also show that Helgi informed Hephaestus of the issue, and it was repeatedly ignored. And with that, I think we've got ourselves a case, my friends.
Yes! That's what I wanted to hear, Ellie. Woo!
Yes, but it's still likely to lose. Because what we really need now is Helgi as our witness, and that is a problem. Helgi isn't an ideal witness at all. He was our star witness the first time, and he never showed up. Plus, he's got a reputation around town. After he quit, he went a bit weird.
I can handle a bit weird. I know the captain can, too.
Clearly. But the judge might feel differently. It might be worth finding some character witnesses, too, while you're looking for him. Helgi's documents are nothing without him there in court, explaining them to the judge.
Does Helgi still live around here by any chance?
Sort of. He's, unpredictable, though. That's also a bit tricky. He's hard to find. Doesn't really stay in one place for long. We could, but I think we'd lose the case, bluntly. We can verify these documents are real, but Hephaestus can counter by attacking Helgi's character. They'll label him a disgruntled employee and then find a dozen independent scientists to confirm Irvin was at fault. But with Helgi in court, he can explain the science and help me challenge any countering theories during cross-examination. You might ask Dr. Kayala. She checks up on folks who fall through the cracks sometimes. You'd have to convince her to tell you where he is. That might be hard.
Sounds like we're making a stop at the med clinic. We'll be back when we convince Helgi to be a witness.
Listen, if he refuses, then he refuses. Can't force him.
Yeah, we don't want to press him too hard. The last thing we need is him refuting what he wrote. This is going to take a light touch, but I think we can handle it.
Do you need medical assistance? Are you injured? Is there something I can help you two with?
Do you happen to know Dr. Helgi Hodgson? We're trying to get his help with something.
Sorry, who are you exactly?
We're detectives. Self-taught and unaffiliated. Freelance detectives. With the emphasis on the free part.
Wait, what? Detectives? Sorry, I don't think I know what you're talking about. No, not really. I mean, there's Irvin the Slaughterer and Irvin the Scourge of Gagarin, but I doubt that's the same person, right? I treat anyone who walks in my doors, if I'm able to. I'm sorry, I'm not a tour guide. You'll have to ask somebody else.
We're trying to help him. And Gagarin, actually.
Only every single time I see him. But listen, I don't have time to chat. Ellie's a good person. That bodes well, but I can't violate my oaths. I'm sorry. Listen, I can say that Helgi took up a job working at Clint's store just down the way. I saw him there stacking boxes the last time I picked up an order. I've got to get back to my work here, so if there's nothing else... If it's patient medical records you're after, I'll remind you, I'm not at liberty to discuss that.
We're thinking of taking Hephaestus to court with Dr. Hodgson as a witness. Now, given his situation, we're worried the defense might cast aspersions on his character, even question his mental health.
That's unfortunate, but not surprising. Look, if he agrees to testify and grants me permission, I could vouch for his well-being.
Thanks, Doc. If he does end up testifying, we'll definitely need you for the trial. Ellie Yankton will be in touch.
No promises, given patient confidentiality, but I'll do my best. I need to get back to my work now, if you don't mind.
Apparently, the corporate execs are talking about building their own priority
Trade in a little bit of everything. Funny you ask, because I'd like to know too. He owes me a sizable debt. Enough that he's no longer allowed in my store. I don't like denying service to anyone, but it's the principle of the matter. I've seen him around, but never in one place, except when he needs money. I offered him a job, but he showed up to work drunk one day and I had to let him go. I don't have any ill will toward him. Sure, the credits I'd like to have back, but only because it'll mean he's gotten his life together. Yeah, I don't want to be mixed up with anything like that. That's what I'm hoping. I'd like to keep this civil. All right. Fine, fine. I don't know where he is, but ask Lizzie up at the bar. She knows everybody. You sure you got the right person? Helgi and I have had several run-ins in the past. For me, yes. But there's a lot of water.
We just need someone to serve as his character witness, given your long-standing reputation in the city.
Sure, I can say a few words. I like Helgi, but fair warning, I'm not gonna lie for him. If I'm testifying under oath, it'll be full of the good and the bad.
Wouldn't expect anything less.
If you're looking for something special, just ask.
You have my credits?
Terrabrew kiosk still busted? I swear.
Well, well, well.
A reputation already? I'm impressed.
Slow news day, I guess. I serve drinks here, Spritz.
We were told that you are a local crime...
We serve drinks here. Here's a list of our specials for today.
There's nothing on here.
Oh, that's strange. Here, let me fix that. Don't worry, it's just the one sale today.
Oh, right. Of course, it's a number. Here you go, Captain. All yours.
Not for this kind of deal. Sorry. Credits are easier for you explorer types, though, aren't they? The service I provide? Hold on. I never said that was my... You don't scare me. No, I can't. It's nothing. Thanks for your patronage. Sending your receipt directly to you now. We'll be sure to leave a glowing review for your establishment. Don't worry. Wait. So let me get this straight. You want the bartender to testify he's not a lousy drunk? All right, I'm no lawyer, but seems like a bad move. Also, it sounds like work. And I don't work for free.
If it's about creds, you might earn a lot of brownie points with the locals if you helped with that. Points they'd spend at your bar.
As long as I'm still alive to spend it. But fine. If you get Helgi to show up, I'll take some of the heat off of him. The ship carrying the liquor is currently doing laps around Grissom, or so my rumor claims. But beyond its location and contents, I honestly don't have a lot of information about the thing. Bottoms up. Don't cook yourself out there.
Our last head of security was a real... Now the chief Pretorius chooses.
I don't suppose you're here to tell me I've won a ticket to a new planet, huh?
Sorry, Doctor. Not today. We came to Gagarin to investigate Irvin Mandani's contract with the mining company a long time ago. Ring any bells?
Irvin, yeah. Biologist. Hunter. Yeah, I remember him. Why? Who are you people? Then find a history slate. An ancient history slate. Because that's what it is.
Please. Irvin was once one of your colleagues. He was the one Hephaestus blamed for an ecological disaster about 20 years ago. Do you remember any of that?
No, I don't remember lies. He passed on. That's a kick in the pants, isn't it? Well, sorry for your loss and all that, but I can't bring back the dead or anything. So you can go now. Thanks.
Look, I know this is strange. We show up out of the blue about things that happened decades ago. But right now, nobody save us knows the truth. And that means we're the only ones who can clear Irvin's name.
Then Irvin should have showed up at the trial to defend it himself.
It's not just about Irv. This can't be the only time something like this has happened. Someone needs to hold this company accountable. That's why we'd like you to testify in court.
Testify? The trial is over, the verdict rendered. In case you two clowns didn't get the memo. I remember not to talk with people who come asking questions about powerful corporations. Believe it or not, I don't need or want your money. I made enough of it by working for massive mining corporations. I don't need to risk anything else. Because I tried before, and they threatened me. 20 years ago. I still wake up in fear almost every night. They said if I ever left Gagarin, I left my wife to protect her. She didn't deserve any of this. Any of my mess. Ellie Yankton? But why? It doesn't matter. Nothing's changed. I cannot do that. Why is this so hard to understand here? I think you may be right.
Bank transactions. A precise amount was transferred to the judge only the day before the ruling.
Doesn't surprise me they'd leave a paper trail. I'm no lawyer, but might be grounds to throw the old verdict out. I really hope so. Fine, you've convinced me. I'd be willing to testify on one condition. I want to know what happened to Irvin. Because when he disappeared, let's just say I had an epiphany. Hephaestus didn't need to say a word. That's when I knew the threats against me and my family were real.
Dr. Hawkson, it wasn't Hephaestus that took Irvin's life. It was the war. Irvin was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Caught in the crossfire.
Then I am sorry for your loss. It won't change the past for either of us. But I will testify. And maybe, wherever Irvin is, he'll be glad that we can finally stick it to those assholes at Hephaestus.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, don't get all mushy on me now. I need a drink. I've got some dirt on other mines, too. That wasn't an isolated incident. Might as well bring it all to light. Tell Miss Yekton I'll testify, and do whatever else she needs from me. Maybe I'll sleep a little better when this is all over.
Do you guys have a tip line or something?
We're not supposed to leave the canyon. Too dangerous.
Well, I overheard two guys at least.
Helgi agreeing to testify is a great help. I need witnesses.
Okay, you two.
Someone in security, maybe? Well, we've got good news and... well, that's it. Just more good news.
Okay. Does that mean he said yes? What do we look like? New Atlantis? No. Then we better hope that our other evidence holds up. Interesting. Clint's an institution here on Gagarin, but I don't know if his perception of Helgi lines up with the story we're trying to tell. Well, you two have done all that you...
Helgi agreeing to testify is a great help. Might need witnesses to vouch for his character, though. Someone in security, maybe?
Okay, you two.
Well, we've got good...
Okay. Well, that is perfect. She's probably the best person to call on should Hephaestus decide to play dirty. Well, you two have done all that you could. Now it's time to hand the baton off to me.
What do you think, Ellie? Do we have a chance?
You've done a pretty decent job gathering evidence for this case.
So what's the verdict? In this case, I'd say spoilers are appreciated.
I am cautiously optimistic we can win this case.
Optimism is good, especially from you, Ellie.
We'll likely be able to clear Irvin's name and charge Hephaestus with a number of crimes. The only challenge I see is getting all of that and recompense for Helgi. But I'll do my best. All in all, though, really outstanding work. We wouldn't have gotten this far without your efforts. And I've got to imagine that wherever Irvin is, he appreciates it too.
Agreed, Ellie. And thanks for being our anchor in this. We should probably get out of Ellie's way and let her do her thing. We can talk more in private. Wow, we actually did it! Solved the case. And hopefully cleared Irvin's name. I feel like... what's the old saying? A great weight has been lifted off my shoulders? But it's actually true. I feel like I'm 80% biomass and 20% aerogel. It's a substance that is literally lighter than air, depending on the planet. Habitable planets tend to range from 1 to 2 milligrams per cubic centimeter. Most aerogels are about a tenth of that. I feel like I'm currently hovering in that territory. Give or take a tenth. Ha! Ah, come on, let's not ruin the moment. Although we did do a lot of walking, I bet I really am lighter. Ellie would know better than I, but I doubt it'll be anytime soon. These things tend to involve a lot of red tape. It's a special kind of adhesive that makes you stick to old filing cabinets and manila envelopes. I hope so. It's always a tug-of-war between the workers and the mining corps. But there's one thing we've got in our favor. There's more of us than there are of them. All it takes is for the people to realize it. I'm feeling great. Although I could do with some wine and cheese. Why stop at emotional satisfaction when we can indulge in the culinary too? But if I can be serious for a moment, thank you. I couldn't have done this without your help. That makes two of us. Three if you count Harvey. And who wouldn't? He's practically family. In fact, Harvey's got a little explorer in him too. According to this slate I found, turns out that our spiky friend's been all across the galaxy. Oh, right. I didn't tell you. Ellie found this old cactus in Irvin's apartment. It didn't have a name, so I named it Harvey. You know what? He just might. But it's probably best you chart the course. Harvey doesn't do well with things that require hands. We've been through a lot, haven't we? I had forgotten what it was like to work with someone so closely. When you joined Constellation, I didn't know what to expect. I was just reflecting on everything we've been through, you know? It's impressive. On top of everything else we've done together and with Constellation, yeah, I think so. Investigating Irvin's case with you is something I'll remember forever. I've come to realize that some events, some people, stand out as pillars of my life. It's whatever leaves an impression on you, right? Moments that define our lives, where our future diverged from our expectations. People who changed you, or people you've changed. Yes, some of them do. And if we're lucky, they change us for the better. We only get a brief moment in this universe to interact, to feel, to be who we are and experience the range of emotions that our bodies and minds have evolved to comprehend. Maybe I did. But this is all from my heart, my friend. And the definition of that changes for everybody. If one is fortunate, you might even notice events and people changing you while it is in motion. Well, that's what I'm asking you, actually. I know I certainly am. I've explored many worlds, and I've worked with Constellation for most of my life. I cherish those memories. But you have changed me as a person forever. I don't want to look back years from now and wonder what if. I need to know what you think about us. No, not always. There are many ways to make someone feel loved. And you have done well in that regard. But I need this moment in my mind. I need to be able to look back and remember what we had in our hearts right here, right now. You took the words right out of my mouth. Now, mind if we get back to exploring this beautiful, mysterious universe with me, Captain? New Atlantis is the shining beacon of humanity these days. This place is a delightful relic tangled up with hope, grit, and science. Fascinate me. Ha! Sure. You know where to find me if you...
I've occasionally had my doubts about Constellation as an investment. But now, well...
What's up? Back, eh? How's it going?
Yes, I always enjoy these moments. Finally, I've been waiting.
Emergency request. Facility Crucible requires vital materials to sustain the mission. Transmitting coordinates on Kubernetes 3. End of message. Human of unknown origin detected. Designated outsider. This is an undisclosed secret location. Please identify purpose or depart. Outsider is not part of plan. End of inquiry. Acknowledging receipt of emergency request. Explanation deemed acceptable. Clearance granted to Crucible. Outsider will deliver 150 units of copper. Compensation will be dispensed.
Tobias, stand down. We have a visitor.
Reminder, deliver required material. End of conversation.
This is incredible. For so long we hoped for any visit, and the day has finally arrived. Oh dear. That's a surprisingly tricky question. I'm probably not the person to answer it, but it is a genuine pleasure to meet you. We see no one, ever. Your arrival is truly an historic one, but many fear what it portends. The societies have closed their doors and are arguing about what to do, while the rest hide to see which way the wind blows. Franklin would know what to do. He's the oldest among us. You should talk with him. Crucible is a tinderbox, and any spark will set it off. We're still recovering from a deadly conflict that happened 3 years ago. Far fewer of us are here to greet you today because of it. Most of us are like me, free and unaligned. But there are 3 societies that are oft at odds with one another. The Believers, the Pragmatists, and the Renegades. It would be wise to meet each of them. Franklin leads the Pragmatists. Give it time, and I'm sure the others will come out. For curiosity's sake, if nothing else.
This feels vaguely like one of those situations that ends with, and they were never heard from again.
When your ship landed, I feared the robots would shoot you on sight. I am greatly relieved that they let you enter our community. But you come during a delicate time. Everyone will seek to use your arrival to further their own ends. No, we most certainly do not. Our relationship with them is a matter of some debate. You ask a question you already know the answer to. Yes, of course. I have need of you. But if you have a good heart and a quick mind, I am sure you will see my point of view. As well you should. I am Franklin Delano Roosevelt, leader of the Pragmatist Society. Well, it is gratifying that even after all these years, my name isn't entirely forgotten. You see, I was an American president. Well, not literally, but in a sense I was. Everyone that lives here are clones. Some of us are clones of the greatest figures of history, and others, well, we don't rightly know. When we die, and some of us die quite often, we are brought back. I cannot imagine how strange this must sound to an outsider.
You need not imagine. I can assure you, this is all exceedingly strange. Baffling, even.
Now, there is the question, isn't it? I do not have FDR's memories, but I know every nuance of his life and times. Well, as much as history records. I confess, I feel an undeniable affinity towards him. But no, I am my own man, but not all of us see it that way. Not at all. I have had occasion to see death more than anyone. When someone dies, all they have accomplished here in Crucible, all of their deeds, thoughts, are gone. And when they come back, they are different, modified. The believers say they are improved. Being reborn can take years. Sometimes over a decade. but everyone comes back. Is it? I wish I could illuminate you on this, but we are as ignorant of the technology which brought us into being as we are of the outside world. Then you must live a remarkably interesting life. After decades, centuries, of trying to figure it out ourselves, there is so very much we don't know either. The robots clone us for a reason, their so-called mission. But what that is and what we should do about it is something the societies disagree about. Sometimes violently. It's best you meet with the other societies, and after, I promise I'll explain the pragmatist's position on matters. Well, it is one of the few concrete things we know about Crucible. If you want to truly know about the mission, the believers will tell you all about it. In fact, it can be hard to get them to stop talking about it. After you meet with them, I'll share my position. Be careful what you wish for. Word has been sent, so the street should be full again. There is more I would talk with you about, but I would not take advantage of your ignorance. Go speak with the Monirinas and Genghis Khan.
Welcome to town, stranger. Consider me part of the welcoming committee. The name's Wyatt Earp, and I'd be most pleased if you'd use one of the spare rooms during your stay, for a modest fee, of course. Oh, I'm not all that. Just had the good fortune to receive some good publicity. But to the matter at hand, I'm more than a humble innkeep. I do the best I can to uphold the law, but the societies make that difficult. I expect I've had as much success restraining Genghis as the Chinese did. I do what I can. Roosevelt and I are both of the same mind on that. I'm for whatever side wants to keep the peace. It means that the pragmatists and I are often on the same side of things, but you might be surprised the number of times I've had to ask some of them to back off some nonsense. That's a generous offer. I might take you up on it. Well, I hope you enjoy your stay. And by the by, I may have access to some essentials I've picked up over the years. Happy to sell them to you. It runs hot and cold. During usual times, it's an occasional scuffle, maybe a black eye when an argument gets out of hand, and then a society goes on a rampage and it's tombstone all over. I hope your arrival keeps things on an even keel. You're always welcome back.
I need to go out there. I want to see it do everything there is to be done. Your ship, she's a beauty. It travels the stars, right? Tell me, what's it like out there? That's just how I imagine it. My name's Amelia Earhart. When I first woke up in this place, in my head, I knew all about my namesake, her life and her accomplishments. But I also knew how to fly a starship, reactor limits, thrust acceleration, vectors, and everything. In my mind's eye, I can imagine flying out there, touching heaven itself. And yet, cruelly, here I sit. The facility keeps us alive, fed, and protected, but they do a terrible job of informing us of anything at all. My guess is the facility thought they might need a pilot one day, but your guess is as good as mine.
Funny, some of us have had the same thought about you. Listen, I know you owe me nothing at all, but I would do anything to get off of here. I know the societies want who knows what from you for who knows why, and I don't want to get involved in any politics. I just want, for my single self, a chance to explore. I'd happily earn my way. Like I said, a lot of spacefaring know-how has been put in my head. Let's put it to good use, right? You won't regret it. Thanks. Do you want to talk about anything else? No, I don't. I consider myself a most ardent admirer of hers. She feels like family. Distant family. I like to think we both share a kindred spirit of adventure, though. She broke so many barriers in her life. I would love the same opportunity one day. I have a few choice, unchristian thoughts about some of them, but I'm going to stay out of it. Listen, I'd understand you making any decision you have to regarding them. Any at all. I just hope you judge me separate. I don't wish harm on anyone. I just want to explore. Thanks for your time.
I just wish the societies could get along.
The defenses have to hold.
You don't get old on Crucible unless you are smart. FDR is the wisest of us. I would kill for a new slate. Of anything at all.
The settled systems needs us.
Stranger! Weapons out! They come!
Hey! Meet your death! Now
And the woman from the stars. Come to see me. And you're not afraid to get your hands dirty. I guess the world out there is not so different than here. Genghis Khan, a pleasure to meet you. Then don't believe it. It is true his blood runs through my veins. But I am not he. Crucible tries to imprint the clones with fake memories. Genghis predated the Mongols having written records. For being so great a figure, we know practically nothing about him. When was he born? How he died? Where he was buried? A single speech he gave? Nothing. It must have driven the robots mad, trying to figure out what to do with me. Manners cost me nothing. But make no mistake, I will do whatever it takes to escape this prison. I am pleased that the dangers out here are of no concern to you. You cannot be fully human if you trap yourself behind walls. I would provide fresh meat for my society, so we don't get fat off the robots. Franklin and I see eye to eye on very little, but even he appreciates this. And I always hope to see some means of escape. Perhaps our luck has finally changed. The robots taught me many things any Mongol would know. So, hunting game, even such as this, is little challenge to me. So Franklin told you of us. Oh, that we're clones? Some of us think that makes us special. That the deeds of our namesakes are somehow ours. But that is blind arrogance. We are just people. Same as you. Same as anyone. None at all. It is as if I were a student of his life and times from an early age. I know so much about him, but that doesn't mean I am him. I am me, and I am content with this. Perhaps you are right. Certainly. Many in Crucible would agree. But all this talk gets us nowhere. Too many of the others grovel at the feet of the damned robots, trying to play their roles in a broken game. The renegades will not submit, and one day, we will be free. A prison of the mind and the body. Crucible holds out a throne and says, "Obey, and it is yours." But thrones are meant to be taken, not handed to you by a machine. But it is a tantalizing lie that keeps the others in line. I do not know. Everything outside of Crucible is unknown to us. I imagine the settled systems are not so settled that a man who does not shrink from violence can't make a place for himself, though. Were it that easy, I have died a dozen deaths trying to find a way out of Crucible. You get too far or disobey too much, then death. Crucible holds our lives in its hands. But now, the robots have made a grave mistake. You can go where none of us can. You hold our future in your hands, and all the societies know it. Oh yes, you can go 1 or 2 miles from Crucible, and you drop dead. I have no knowledge of medicine, but it's probably poison. It boils my blood to be subjugated like this. But too many of the clones are sheep. As long as their pens are clean and comfortable, they bleat their arguments. I sense fire in you. Good. You will need it. I propose this. The robots come from someplace far to the east. We call it the Facility, a place none of us can get to. But with you and your starship, it would be easy. Go there and break our shackles. Set us free.
Do not leave.
I had hoped you would visit me. Good. Know that you stand before Queen Amanirinas of the Kush, queen of a dead kingdom on a dead world. But I earned my name, and even the sands of time cannot take it from me. In truly ancient times, my land lay south of Egypt, a harsh country. History is enamored of my contemporary Cleopatra, but she would have withered and died had she tried to rule my land. Your courtesy is appreciated, even though it rings hollow. My subjects are all dust. If you don't believe me, know you are not alone. Some clones deride me behind my back. I know this, but I feel in my bones that I am a Manirinas for true. The great and the terrible, to those who would oppose me. I remember things no one has told me. Memories of faces, betrayers, lovers, allies, and enemies. And the smells. The right scent. And I close my eyes. And I can picture all of it. So vividly. It aches my heart. My home. My kingdom. Have you no faith of your own? Something you hold to, even though it cannot be proven. It is the same with me. But I am certain. You speak to a Manirinas, reborn. If your mind and heart remain open, you will see the truth of it. Once, I called upon mighty armies. However, on Crucible I still lead. Have you heard of the believers? Have you heard of the mission? We are the ones who will take our rightful place in these settled systems to bring in a new glorious age and break the endless cycles of oppression and greed. So many scoff at the mission. Before we are reborn here, there are words all of us are told. That we are the chosen. We are meant to better ourselves. To learn, grow, and thrive. All of us represent the greatest figures in our history. Who better to lead the settled systems to a new golden age? You are skeptical. My advisors thought the same when Augustus Caesar stood unbeatable at Cush's border. I made war against the mighty Romans. I took their cities and fought them to a draw. No other king or queen can boast of that honor against that famed Roman. And that's just me. Some of the greatest lions of all ages are awaiting rebirth. What are bureaucrats, petty politicians, and lawyers against that? If we could do it ourselves, we would have, years ago. I do not care if you think my plan is insane. But what I want, what we want, is a chance to prove to the facility we are ready. When someone has achieved their potential, the facility is supposed to set us free among the stars. But the machines have been breaking more and more over the years. And no one has ever been deemed worthy. I need your help to properly fix the facility so that we can prove ourselves and claim our birthright. Surely someone, anyone by now would have learned the lessons the facility sought to teach. No, the machines have not aged well. The crises break upon our beach, each one greater than the last. The facility is another place on this very planet, a place we cannot go, as much as we dream of it. I need you to go to the facility. I imagine Genghis has already told you about it. All the society leaders know it's the key, but only an outsider can get there. Please, investigate it. See if it can be repaired. Then return to me, so we can formulate a new plan.
Change is coming.
So, you have heard from the other societies. I must confess I'm very curious what an outsider thought of them and their positions. You might be the first objectively neutral party we've ever come across. A very diplomatic approach. The facility has gathered some of the most obstinate and dangerous personages throughout history. It has told them that they should lead in a golden age via whatever means they see appropriate. Setting us all loose and barter as a whole would invite disaster. We are barely fit to lead ourselves. A tough but fair question. I must admit the case of Amelia Earhart sometimes keeps me up at night. 'Tis safer if the rule is strict, but if you wanted to make an exception or two, I could live with that. But no one from the other societies. They are all dangerous in their own way. The most likely case is anyone that leaves Crucible would die or silently fail. But if the mission is correct, and they do take over the settled systems, in the course of history, it took millennia to cast out petty tyrants. The way ahead lies not looking to the past to literally guide us, but for this generation to learn from us. Terrible and great figures we represent had their time. We made the most of it. We should be at peace with it. Certainly. It is evident that the facility is decaying. It is both unsustainable and unwise for us to fix and maintain the status quo. Our community must be weaned off the machines, learn how to build, grow, and govern ourselves, allowed to raise families so we can pass our lessons to the next generation, and to die when our allotted time is finished. One day we will be worthy of going to the stars. We are just not there yet. Do not listen to passion. Genghis can be very persuasive, but he's a fool. In some sense, we are an abomination. A science project made for unknown ends and with uncertain results. Once we are fully human, fully self-reliant, then we should be allowed to join the settled systems. Yes, and not to be indelicate, not for lack of try. Are we even human in this state? We have no future, only the past. I am sure in time you will see the... Go to the facility and see what can be done.
Over here! We need to talk.
The other societies make me sick.
Listen, it's not safe to talk here. It's about Roosevelt. There's something you need to know. Not here. If he found out I'm even talking to you about this...
Then we will most likely die.
Thank you. There's a, well, cave just outside town. No chance of us being listened in on. Please, come as quick as you can. Ideally, before you go to the facility.
How to fix the plumbing, for God's sake.
I'll meet you at the cave. came. I just can't take a chance. These clones, they're psychotic, crazy. If they find out, I'm sorry. I just can't take the chance. You're just making it worse. I'm not Wyatt Earp. I wish. God, how I wish I was. I was cloned off a monster. America's first serial killer. H.H. Holmes.
Well, that is less auspicious.
He was a deranged lunatic on old Earth. In the 1890s, he owned a hotel. He'd lure people there in this crazy hotel with all sorts of terrible rooms. But I'm not him. You gotta believe me. It's like a living nightmare. If you go to the facility, I know you'd find out who I am. And if you let any of these bloodthirsty maniacs know, they'd kill me. But no, that wouldn't be the end. Every time my new clone would appear, death, torture, pure hell. I'm afraid it's you or me. I'm going to kill you. I really, really don't. Besides Ada and maybe Amelia. You're the nicest person I've met. But the other clones, they would tear me apart. Don't you see? They're the monsters. I just don't want to be tortured like that. Please, please forgive me. A few of the old-timers know I used to go by Bill Hickok. I mean, I had to make up a story. I always used to read the dime novels, and I figured I knew enough about Wild Bill and Wyatt to pull it off. I just had no way of knowing what my previous life had picked. So I played dumb. But Roosevelt, he's a crafty one. I just don't see a way out. I can wish it a million. I don't want to die. I want to believe. I just am not sure. I'm gonna trust you, okay? Just don't tell anyone. This never happened.
such beauty in the midst of nothingness.
Taking damage. Warning. Damage registered. Systems.
Civic seem to have new permanent residents. Doubt they will be interested in looting.
Win. I make this look easy. Threat neutralized. Is that the best you can do? Should have trained more. There was no other way for twins. One less target. So long. Give up already.
If you had a life sentence, wouldn't you do anything?
Your arrival is a sign from the gods. Roosevelt and the Pragmatists vex us. True, they do help us try and maintain the facility, but they deny the mission. Such hubris. We were sent here for a reason. Why can't they see that? And Genghis and the Renegades are little more than brigands spoiling for a fight. They would destroy everything if it meant they could be unleashed on the galaxy. Clearly, none of them will ever reach their potential. I am her reborn. Many here scoff at reincarnation. But why? It has been a belief of people from the earliest of times. Why is it so unimaginable it can happen? When I dream, I smell the sands of Africa. I see the vaunted Roman legions with their prickly spear walls. And I see and taste the blood. Both ours and theirs. I am Queen Amanirinas. And I am she who even the conquerors fear. We are the ones who believe in the mission. We are the great minds and leaders of history who can bring about a new golden age. Our numbers are admittedly few, but we make up for it in our commitment to see the dream of Crucible realized. We just want the machines fixed, so we can pass the test and be allowed to leave Crucible and try to make a difference. There are robots here, but they are not constructed here. The clones also are not born here. The robots bring fresh clones always from the east. That is where their facility lies. And that's it. I know no more.
This will certainly lead to some interesting results.
What is this? These papers are fascinating. And frustrating. So many questions I have. But for now, we must find the security override code to open the rest of the facility. There isn't anything like that in Crucible. This I know. This other ship, the Beagle, this must have the key we seek. We originally lived in the facility. If we had stayed there and learned, surely some of us would have been chosen to leave by now. But Genghis and his bombs damaged the facility, and it has never truly recovered. We must repair the facility. Yes, and I know just the person to ask. Ada Lovelace stays out of politics, but the science here is too intoxicating. She will help us. If anyone can find this Beagle, it is her.
So we did come from a spaceship. Of course we did. And there's another out there? What was the Beagle? Why did she and the Galathea part? But all of that in time. First, we must find her. She's not in this star system. I would have spotted her. I've studied the celestial bodies for years. No trace of a spaceship in orbit here or around the other planets.
I believe the mission is to be the best possible.
The radio telescope! It has a default position. It resets every morning. I always wondered, why point at Bell 5? Petty frustration I've dealt with for years. Perhaps the facility looks for her sister. Yes! Yes, it makes sense. I can send you the coordinates. The Bell Star system is not far. The facility communicates via a secure frequency. When you arrive, tune into that.
least the only smell I shall have to deal with is myself. Not that I smell bad, I just... Never mind.
everyone's scrambling. It's very profitable as well. It's not yet time. I don't even know if it will ever be. But hope and my pocketbook springs eternal. I really can't say, as much as I'd like to. It may mean nothing, but I'm rooting for you. Sorry, can't say. Hopefully all will make sense in time. Good luck. Please, just be careful. Very careful. I hope to see you at a much later date.
Any adventure you can fly away from. Is that how the saying goes?
Beginning combat mode. System failure. Be advised that this is now a combat zone.
Is it annoying if I say... You could win.
I am opening.
We must defeat them.
your assistance immediately.
Please, deadly trouble is brewing.
Good. You have come. Genghis Khan knows you have been to the facility. And unless we meet, he has said he will war upon us. I have asked Roosevelt to join our talks. In our last conflict, the Pragmatists were useful allies. Hopefully, they will fight with us again. If you control the facility, you control the mission. He has made it clear that unless the renegades are allowed to leave Charybdis, he will fight. Genghis does not negotiate. If you are unwilling to let him leave, there will be blood. But this is worth fighting for. The mission says that only the chosen should be freed, and I think Genghis is the least likely to merit that. Know that we meet under a flag of truce. If any of us violate that, we are outcasts. So no matter the provocation, no battle. Let's go.
Good. I see the outsider is here.
Speak your words, Genghis. But know that I have no fear of battle, for my cause is just.
I know you've been to the facility. I know you have conspired together. Blood does not need to spill today, as long as the outsider promises one thing. Let the renegades go free. I have no idea. I just don't know what's out there. But the renegades will live, fully and as well as we can. We will not meekly go back to ourselves, outsider. Franklin, I know we have been at odds.
Over many, many incarnations.
But surely imagining the believers triumphing sets your blood to boil.
Genghis. The mission is pure fiction. Of this we can both agree. The best outcome of any of us leaving in our present state is to fail in obscurity. But if one of us succeeds, it would visit untold misery upon the settled systems. Stranger, can't you see why we're not ready to leave Charybdis yet? Then don't do this. Don't let us leave until we are made whole.
Do not listen to him. He uses words like knives. Do not change sides, outsider. I am warning you.
If you let Amon Arenas run the mission, nothing good will come of it. I had hoped to convince you. Alas.
If the mission even has a shred of a chance to be realized, can't you see, Roosevelt? We must take it.
Amon Arenas, the pragmatist, will not fight today.
Coward!
As I was saying, I implore you, if the facility can give us more independence...
No. The mission must be allowed to continue as it is intended.
I sincerely hope you are right about all of this, Amon Arenas, because this is our one chance at fixing it.
That went as expected. Are you ready to fight, outsider? Ha! Let's teach that rabid dog a lesson.
Don't make me kill you! We're losing! I think it's over.
Blowing off some steam?
We have triumphed, and you are the reason why. All that is left is to go to the facility and restore the mission. To bring a new glorious age to the galaxy. Many have died from pettier causes than that. Stay safe, my friend.
Blood runs in the streets again. I had hoped, however naively, that we were past that. I do not hold you responsible, but your arrival was certainly a lethal catalyst. May I help you? So your mission to the Beagle was a success? Let me see. It is... done. There is a standard cipher used by the facility. It took me many years and, well, lifetimes to overcome. And now, the mysteries of the facility await you. I pray you choose what befalls us wisely.